Welcome, listeners, to today's episode of Passionate Pursuits. And I thought it would be fun, maybe a little outside the box, to invite my best friend to be my guest today. And what we are going to talk about is how we met, some of the crazy stuff that's happened over the years, and what makes this relationship work. She actually is a dual resident. She lives part-time in Arizona, part-time in Illinois, so it's a long-distance relationship. Marianne Bannos, welcome to Passionate Pursuits.
Well, hello, and thank you for having me. I know everyone always says that, but it is fun to be able to talk to you anytime.
We've gone back and forth over this point many times. What was the year we think we actually met?
I think it was around 2003. I want to say we started communicating before, like in the summer of 2003.
So we're coming up on 20 years then.
I think this is it. I think this is the big 2-0.
Wow.
Hey, happy anniversary. Are there friendship cards like that?
I think they do. I think that's called a friendversary.
Yeah, that's true.
We met through a mutual friend who had known me some through Trace Diaz and had heard me share my story on one of the weekends there. After her husband was transferred to Illinois, she started going to the same church that you were going to, right? And you all became involved in women's ministry.
Yes. Yeah, we did. We just connected.
Was this your first women's conference that you did together?
Yes. Yeah. Okay. This was a big deal.
Yeah.
We just started getting this idea. I really felt like the Lord was working things that she missed about experiences at Herald Church, and same thing for me. And next thing you know, we had this idea and it just blossomed from there into reality.
Okay. So the invitation list for the speakers came up, and I think because of that previous connection, she had included me as one of the invites to come and speak. Mm-hmm. But she already had so many people staying at her house that she didn't really have room for another. So she pawned me off on you to stay at your house. And that was how we got connected. But I'm going to let you tell that story about the introduction.
We ended up talking. Mary and I had no budget. Remember, this was brand new. This idea came and she had these great ideas for some speakers. And next thing you know, these women, including you, graciously agreed to come up. And through conversations with Mary, I found out that she didn't know you at all. And I was like, you had this stranger stay at our home? And I said, she could have been an axe murderer. I ended up saying this at the conference. I was introducing Bernie. And you have to tell the next part, because I said exactly what I just stated. You could have had this axe murderer could have been staying at my house. Ha, ha, ha.
But then about the lady who came up to you afterwards and said, was she really an axe murderer? I still laugh about that. That was so funny.
Lizzie Borden does not go on tour.
They let me off on good behavior. In staying at your house, back then, this was before my experience with Toastmasters, before I gained so much confidence and bravery in being able to talk to people. I sat at your kitchen table and I was nervous and tense and didn't know how to act or what to say. And you just tore all those walls down. You had us making sandwiches, had us preparing different things for the conference. And then when you came in one morning to get us up and get us ready, you actually brought me a cup of coffee, but you brought me a little bowl of fruit that was mostly cantaloupe. Well, Bernie doesn't really care for cantaloupe. I don't like cantaloupe. I've never had a good relationship with cantaloupe. But this is where I tend to be loyal to a fault. Because you brought me that cantaloupe, I was determined to eat it and be grateful. And we just connected. And for that time after the conference was over and I returned back to Georgia, we had some form of communication every day. And we began what we considered the friendship version of speed dating, right?
Yes, I'm so glad you brought that up, because that's what we did. We did speed friending.
Mm-hmm.
Isn't that what we ended up calling it?
Yeah.
And that was an amazing way to get to know someone. It started as almost a joke because when you left, well, first of all, when you got there, we should actually talk about before you got there.
Okay.
In the months leading up to the conference, we had a lot of communications. And we just started getting to know each other a little bit. And then by the time you came and you stayed in our home, and we had, was it 3 days?
Mm-hmm.
So as we started connecting over all of these different points that we could relate to, I hated when you left. I was like, wait, you left. And I don't even know things about you. And some of them I just, was being goofy. I don't know. What kind of deodorant do you like? What you wanted to be as a little kid? And did you like Barbies or Tinker toys? And so I just listed these goofy questions. And then, go ahead.
I copied the email and responded to every single question in a different color. So
Hilariously, I
so
may
that
add.
you would know what my answer was. But then I also in turn asked you the same questions and then you
Hmm.
responded back in another color. So we were able to keep all of these things separated while we were learning. And some of them were just goofy questions. And then we
Hmm.
were sending pictures back and forth, and you made a reference to burn doggy. It made you think of moon doggy. Just a lot of fun stuff back and forth. And I will admit this, I actually still have a lot of those emails saved in a folder on an
Aw.
external hard drive somewhere. And it's fun occasionally to go back and read over some of those things. So we graduated from emails to phone conversations. And like I said, just some form of communication every single day for a long, long time. What do you think, from your perspective, Mary, what do you think continues to make this relationship work? You're my best friend, I'm your
You're
best
mine.
friend, and
Yeah.
yet there's so many miles between us. So, what makes this work?
I'm going to use your favorite word, intentionality.
Yes.
We have to be intentional, otherwise, we won't do it. I often say I live in Chicago in the suburbs, and the city is just full of culture. But do I always go there? No. The Field Museum is sitting there, the Art Institute. And because we know it's there and we could go anytime, I think we don't.
Mm-hmm.
But with you and I, with this distance, as we like to say, darn distance,
Yes.
we have to make it a point because you're such an interesting woman. I love you. I just love your heart. I love the way you think. You're creative and we have so much fun together. I
Yes.
mean, obviously that's got to be a big part of it because nobody wants to be in a relationship with a curmudgeon and a crank.
Or an
And you are
Eeyore.
none of those things.
Thanks for thinking of me.
Thanks. Oh, it's okay, Eeyore. And of course, our faith. I mean, we started there. We
Yes.
started with this amazing relationship with God. And so it's the foundation of who we are. That was like an instant connection. And
Yes.
then it was all these other different things that connected us. And can we talk about the adoption stuff?
Yeah, we were
Um,
both adopted and we've both discovered our biological roots.
yeah, that was another connector between us.
And I'm going to venture to dive just a little bit deeper without going into
Sure,
too many details.
sure.
I think one of the things that is so important for friendships, well, even marriages, really any kind of relationship, is going to be some level of accountability
Hmm.
for whatever needs accountability. And I will say that early on in our relationship, there was a time when I needed that. And I had put out a call to some of my inner circle for some help in this area that I was struggling with. And you were the only one who consistently held me accountable, consistently checked in with me,
Mm.
and asked me how things were going. And to me, that was definitely one of the bonding factors, is that I appreciated that intentionality even in that area, because we're so afraid so many times to get into each other's business when we really need to. I mean, we
True.
spiritually, if you think about, even scriptures that exist that tell us that we are on a certain level responsible for each other. part of that is going to be checking in and saying, hey, how are you doing? But we're so afraid to do that. So that was one thing I definitely could appreciate about our relationship. Thank you, Goom, for that.
Thank you. I appreciate it because one of the things, well, two things, they kind of are interconnected. One of them is how we started trusting one another. And in those first few emails with the silly, I have questions, before you answered them, you wrote, I need to know that I can trust you with this information. And I was very honest with you. And I said, I learned from a huge mistake about keeping somebody's trust. What I thought was a very innocent kind of a check with a mutual friend. So there were three friends, and one of them was going through a pretty big crisis. I was learning about it, and I called our other friend, because there were three of us. Well, I didn't know that the other person didn't know about the first person's issue, and it really blew up in my face. I didn't do it to gossip, but that's in essence what it turned out to be. And it has taken a long time to repair that breach, but I learned a huge lesson. And so when you asked me, hey, can I trust you? I'm like, yep. These lips are zipped from now on because it was careless. I just didn't think it through. And I wasn't doing it to hurt the first person, but I did.
Right.
So that was a huge thing. Can I trust you?
Yes.
How do I know you can trust me? How can I know I can trust you? So that was a huge thing. And then the second, which I think is really important, kind of a unique situation with us, is our catchphrase of, we don't do nothing.
Yes, exactly.
What's wrong? Nothing. No. We don't do nothing. You need to tell me what's going on, and I need to know and understand whether it's a good, bad, indifferent. We don't do nothing.
Yes. And that is definitely super glue as a bonding agent, for sure. Because that shows, well, again, the intentionality, but that shows that there's a genuine concern for each other's well-being.
Yes,
is that we're not willing to just pass over something. If there's something that is bothering us, or something that may seem insignificant, but it's enough to have an impact on our emotional well-being, then that needs to be addressed. And I can definitely appreciate that. And I'm gonna throw another thing in there, and that has to be our sense of humor. Because there are not many people that I can be totally myself with and feel at ease. And you have a very, very similar sense of humor. And that
oh my gosh.
I mean, we have laughed over some of the most outrageous things. And I don't have many people that I can be that way with. And, I always think of you when I have something that I need to share.
Well, I love that this is something that is a super glue for us, because we just get that sense of humor, and we could kind of feed a first line, and the other person already knows the other part of it, and we could just laugh without even finishing the line.
Right.
We get it.
Right.
And that ability to be so free. Honestly, Toastmasters, I always say this, you have grown so much and opened up. And I always wanted to say to you, and I think I probably did, repeatedly, you're hilarious. Stop being so shy. You have so much to offer. You have so many great ideas in your head, and the way your brain processes things. I mean, you bless me. You really do. And you bless so many people because of just being yourself.
Some people would call that eccentric.
But you don't have enough money to be eccentric.
To a point. I have the friend who we'd gone out to dinner one night, and he sat across the table from me, and he just put his silverware down. He looked at me. He kind of looked over at his wife. He looked back at me and said, Bernie, you're just weird. And I love him for that. Because even though, it may be true, there are some ways that I'm just really weird, but I love the people who can embrace my weirdness. So you are top-notch one of those people.
Well, I thank you. And I just do every time we get together. I know this is your line, so I don't want to steal your line. about the expectations versus expectancy.
Yes.
All right,
Yes.
go ahead. Explain that,
Well,
please.
I think it may not be an original. It seems like I've heard other people say it, but the difference between expectation and expectancy is expectation. You have certain things that you're looking for in that other person. You have certain needs that you are expecting someone to meet. That's expectation. But expectancy is when there's just this anticipation and this joy of being with this person. So there's that expectancy. You're expectant to know what this opportunity of being together is going to unfold. So there's a big difference there in my mind.
Oh, I don't know who gets the original credit for that, but you're the one I associate with that saying because it is so true and it's very liberating.
Yes.
I love it.
Yeah. We would probably be amiss, though, if we didn't point out that with all of the things that we share and we have in common, we are also two completely different people. And there are some points at which we can drive each other crazy, right? What's the first thing that comes to mind?
Cleaning.
Yes,
Cleaning the
cleaning.
bottoms of the chairs, cleaning, I don't know, the ceiling fans, and maybe ripping your curtains inadvertently.
Yes, one of the early visits, I had to go to work, and so Marianne was at my house, and while I was gone, she took it upon herself to start cleaning, and she had taken down some curtains that were in the front window, full sun. When she put it in the washer, it totally disintegrated, and she was afraid to tell me at first. But then just other things. I mean, I don't want to give people the impression that my house is nasty.
No.
It's not dirty, but there are things that Marianne pays attention to that I just gloss over, like baseboards. They might get cleaned occasionally, or the little felt pads on the bottom of the kitchen chairs. They'll get cleaned occasionally, but that is her gift. I mean,
Oh my gosh.
she
It
sees
ruins
those
your
things
drapes.
and she hones in on those things. And so I had to come to the place where I realized, hey, that's how she's wired. That's how she grew up. That's how her mom trained her. And even though it's not me, I would rather have her sit on the couch with me and have a conversation than for her to be up cleaning my house while she's on vacation. So it was just this place that we had to kind of give each other some space
Yes.
and learn how to relate to each other on those levels.
And
So,
can we just say, you were going to be gone. You were at work and you wanted me to relax. I have a hard time just relaxing when there's things to be done. And I thought one of my love languages is acts of service,
yes,
quality time and acts of service.
yes,
And I know, especially at that time, you were working really hard. You had a full-time job. You had a bunch of little part-time things that you were doing. You were gone so much. And I thought, how can I help her?
yes,
And so I just started, doing the things that in any normal household just don't get done very often.
yeah,
Just, let's take all the books out of the bookshelf. Oh, why?
yeah,
So, yeah,
right,
so we definitely had to come to that. And for me, you've been so good about, and I think especially, we're not like, yes, women. Yes, yes, I agree with you. I think you're doing great. No, it's like, what if, what if you look at it a different way?
hmm
So I appreciate, and that kind of has gone through spiritual things, relationship things, housekeeping things.
right,
You
yeah,
just name a category. We are definitely not clones.
no,
No, sometimes it's amazing. When we get on a roll, we're there.
yeah,
We are there when we're laughing about craziness and even in spiritual things and we're talking about the Lord. Those things are solid. But then even in that, it's like, oh, Bernie, I love the way you see this and just your tenderness in your heart. That was attractive to me.
awesome.
I knew I could trust what you were saying because I could see your heart. I could see that in action.
Mm. And that comes with, that intentionality. Most of us have buried treasure inside. The rest of the world, there aren't very many people that know how to pick up a shovel. And
Mm.
so for us, we approach any time that we have together with shovels in hand. And we're ready
Yeah.
at a moment's notice to dig if we need to dig, ask those questions, or pursue things a little bit farther than just the surface level. And I think that is definitely what makes this relationship work. So we've touched on
Yeah.
some great highlights, and we are at our time. But
All
I
right.
just wanted to tell you again that I appreciate your friendship in my life, and I look forward to the next time that we can be together.
Well, can I do a big double dog ditto on all of that?
Yes, absolutely. Double dog ditto.
Thanks so much, Goom. I love you very much.
I
And
love you
it's
too.
been really fun doing this with you.
Yeah.
Thank you for having me.
Thanks for the help.
Bye bye.
Bye bye.